Later, Keynes was pushed aside by the Americans, so it became the dollar. Then the dollar replaced gold as the global currency. Keynes' plan was Plan A, the dollar plan was Plan B. The dollar promised free gold exchange at $35 per ounce. In essence, the dollar became a gold certificate. This drove Keynes to his grave. Keynes died shortly after that conference. He died of anger. He was still young. Why? Because all his life's work. He saw how foolish humanity was, in the face of their own interests, in the face of their own power. Even a great Protestant nation like America. A naive and innocent country. A country at the forefront of human civilization. In 1946, it was still so greedy, so Keynes actually died in despair. He died in the 40s. What was the price of gold before the Bretton Woods system? It was $35 per ounce for exchange, free exchange at over $10 per ounce. How wicked, those Americans who play with finance. The top ones. L'enchoi, Americans are truly greedy, greedy. So today, the strategic reserve distribution of gold is as follows. Central banks hold 60%. Commercial reserves are 24%. Various commercial institutions, ordinary people hold 16%. Gold, in human wars and economic crises, has consistently acted as an anchor, a stabilizer, always has been. World War I, World War II, and the Great Depression between the wars, and in all economic crises after World War II, gold has always shown as an anchor, because when human credit is shaky, gold, God's credit, rises with the tide, and emerges when the water recedes. Let's take the most recent economic crisis data reported to the State Council in 2005 as an example. That is the 1997 Asian financial crisis, also known as the Asian financial storm. In July 1997, the Bank of Thailand announced abandoning the fixed exchange rate mechanism linking the baht to the dollar. Hong Kong will face the same. The Hong Kong SAR government will announce abandoning the fixed exchange rate mechanism linking the Hong Kong dollar to the dollar. And what happened in Thailand has already occurred, so the stage of humanity doesn't change. Only the actors change, the script remains the same. Alright, let me read it to you, so you'll know what will happen in Hong Kong. The baht then depreciated sharply, triggering the most severe financial crisis in Asia and globally since World War II. Various currencies, all sovereign currencies were affected. Not the Hong Kong dollar, but the Thai baht itself. The Thai baht was the first to be hit. Its devaluation rate was 38.48%. In Thailand, gold's absolute appreciation rate, relative to the baht, was multiplied many times over. Its absolute appreciation rate was 23.88%. The Indonesian rupiah was hit the hardest. The rupiah devalued by 83.4%. Gold's absolute appreciation in Indonesia was plus 65.54%. On one side, a minus 83.4% devaluation. On the other, a plus 65.54% appreciation. South Korea followed closely. South Korea was impacted. The won devalued by 35% that year, a negative 35%. Gold's absolute appreciation in Korea was plus 20.4%. Older folks remember watching the news. Koreans lined up to donate gold jewelry to their central bank, to save their won. It's still fresh in our memories. The Philippine peso fell in tandem with the won. The peso devalued by 36.15% that year. While the peso was down 36.15%, gold's absolute appreciation in the Philippines was 21.55%, similar to Thailand and Korea. In performance, the yen and Singapore dollar were next to be hit. The yen devalued by 17.44%. The Singapore dollar devalued by 15.17%. Gold appreciated by 2.84% in Japan. It gained 0.57% in Singapore. Gold is the best hedge against currency overissuance. Currently, I'm not just talking about 2005. 2005 was certainly an example, but now it's even more so with the US dollar. Currency issuance has reached historic highs. The RMB's overissuance now exceeds even the US dollars. Back then, the RMB wasn't overissued, but today, the RMB's overissuance surpasses the dollars. It exceeds it by several times. The euro is overissued. The yen is overissued. Especially the US dollar and the RMB. Our view is that gold is the natural king of currencies, first and second, due to historical reasons. Some of gold's functions, indeed most of them, were constrained by the dollar. It was replaced by the dollar. Third, our conclusion is, gold is the king of currencies imprisoned by the dollar. The king will surely return. Fourth, our conclusion is that when the US dollar faces war, or a major global crisis and becomes unreliable, gold will inevitably take its place, leap to become the sole king of currency. Let me give you a bit of historical context. How did gold become shackled by the US dollar? Well, how did the dollar manage to bind gold? The British pound never shackled gold. Why did the dollar become the world's king? The root cause is the 1946 Bretton Woods system. A meeting was held at Bretton Woods. World War II had ended. Top economic officials, economists, and central banks from many nations gathered there. The US wanted to implement the Marshall Plan, revitalize Europe, and rebuild the post-war world. What could be done? What about the money? What about international trade? The pound sterling was definitely out. The British Empire was finished, left with nothing but liabilities from the war. All the gold, whether Nazi gold or British gold, was stored in the United States. During that brutal global war, nations fought with desperate fury. Not only were young nobles and men wiped out, they even shipped their last reserves of gold to the US, just to get essential supplies and weapons. So after World War II, the world's central bank gold reserves were all in the US, almost 100%. So the US naturally chaired the Bretton Woods meeting. But the intellectual giant of the conference, like the Einstein of the atomic bomb field, was Keynes. Keynes of Keynesian theory, Keynesian economics. He was still alive then, in his prime. Keynes designed a perfect new global trading system, a global currency anchored to gold. The US disagreed. They said that was unnecessary. Think about designing this global currency. It's artwork, it's anti-counterfeiting features. Anyway, it's all a hassle. Why not just use my dollars? They're ready-made greenbacks. Perfect. And you said anchor it to gold, right? Isn't all that gold stored in my Rocky Mountain vaults? Here's the deal. My dollar is your global currency, okay? Do you agree or not? Everyone agreed, for the Marshall Plan, for American aid. All nations bowed to the US, because America had the biggest fist. This infuriated Keynes. The dollar's value doubled overnight. Before Bretton Woods, gold was around $15 to $18 per ounce. On the day of Bretton Woods, the US set the gold price for conversion, in the US at $35 an ounce. $35. Double. That day, the US effectively doubled its money supply. Crafty, right? And the US promised at Bretton Woods. The US made this solemn promise. All countries that signed the Bretton Woods Agreement, all Western nations, Germany, the US, the UK, France, could buy back their gold reserves from the US at $35 an ounce, anytime. Right? The boss was that generous, that solid. That's how the boss established his authority. Because the US felt invincible. First, all the gold was with them. All the dollars were with them too. You're all a bunch of paupers. You can't afford a single damn ounce. That's one. Second, hell, I'm not scared if you buy. It went from $17 to $35. You have even fewer dollars now. Your pockets are damn empty. Come buy from me then. Go ahead, try. Man proposes, God disposes. By the 1960s, around 66, France and Germany's economies boomed. France amassed huge dollar reserves. France had one of the largest dollar reserves. The economy was thriving, and de Gaulle was still around. He actually sailed a destroyer to the US. $35 an ounce. We signed the deal. It hadn't been long, just 20 years from 46 to 66. Swap my gold back. I'm not storing it here. Don't mess with me. I'm de Gaulle. Yeah, give me back my gold. The US pulled a move. They said the deal's off. Keynes is dead. There are no witnesses left. The Bretton Woods system is revised. It's void. The dollar is decoupled from gold. De Gaulle was furious, absolutely livid. He said, by the Statue of Liberty, which was built by the French. You know that, right? By the Statue of Liberty. French destroyers and frigates arrived, anchored in New York Harbor. Never have I seen such shameless people. Those were his exact words. Damn, the US was that shameless. Because gold matters, face doesn't. That's how the dollar-gold link worked. Later, France was defeated in Vietnam, and couldn't stand tall anymore. De Gaulle stepped down gloomily, and France quieted down. Then, after France, Germany also protested. In the 80s, Germany tried too. The US refused, flat out. Then Germany said. Germany was still pushing in the 90s. Can I just take a look? Our gold reserves, back in the Bretton Woods days, we stored a lot of gold with you. After years of transactions, we've accumulated more reserves, all kept in the US. Can you let me see them? Well, the US said no. The Americans wouldn't budge. That's how the boss acts, untouchable. Downright rogue. The world's top dog has always been a bully. Two things you don't touch. One is gold, the dollar's backing. Gold underpins dollar hegemony. Don't even think about it, not a chance. Then there's the US military. Don't you dare mess with these two things. As long as you don't touch the US, you're being reasonable. But if you mess with these two, well, then you'll see who the real bully is. Who's the biggest bully? So now, looking back from 2008. We wrote this report in 2005. The original report stated, the global economy is heading towards a massive, once-in-a-century crisis. In 2008, a major economic crisis did occur. So back then, wow, I felt pretty awesome. Wow. So in 2005, daring to predict a once-in-a-century crisis was bold. Only EHA Capital. Well, it wasn't called EHA Capital then. It was just this small team at EHA Finance, EHA Gold. A young, small team. I was only 30 back then. In 2005, I was just 30. Weixing was born in the year of the dog, so he wasn't much older. In 2005, he was 35. Zhang Weixing was 35. I was 35. We wrote this. We predicted the crisis would unfold in 4 stages. First, a real estate crisis. But we meant a US real estate crisis, not China's. It was about the US housing market. We already saw issues with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Second stage, financial crisis. Third stage, currency crisis. Fourth stage, global economic crisis. That was our 2005 report. The real estate crisis happened. The financial crisis happened. The currency crisis happened. It didn't happen. The currency crisis didn't occur in 2008. The US dollar suddenly intervened, crashing gold prices. So Zhang Weixing went bankrupt in August 2008. In August 2008, everyone knew the financial crisis was about to trigger a currency crisis. Zhang Weixing shorted the dollar and went long on gold. An Asian fund also went long on the Australian dollar. The Aussie dollar acts like a voucher for gold or iron ore. So going long on the Aussie dollar and going long on gold. Then a black swan event hit. The US dollar soared alone. Gold prices fell in one day what took 10 years to gain. 2008 was a black swan. So globally, a full financial crisis didn't happen then. But think about it today. Could the Russia-Ukraine war and a Taiwan conflict trigger one? That's a huge question mark. Back in 2005, we believed the dollar was untrustworthy. We wrote that China had all its gold reserves stored in the US. China had 1,000 tons of gold reserves then, all stored in the US. The safety of China's US assets, bonds, and gold is questionable. China is the largest buyer of US Treasury bonds. China desires a currency beyond sovereign control. Only then can there be fairness. The US dollar is clearly not a supranational currency. Data shows. Here we go again. Here comes the data. Everyone, remember this well. As of 2005, the U.S. national gold reserves were 8,134.7 tons. Even today, there wouldn't be much change. They can only decrease. It's unlikely they'd increase because that U.S. gold reserve is like. It's like that BSC cloud box from Zhai. The U.S. can adjust its gold reserves as it sees fit. No one can go inside the Rocky Mountain Denver to check. U.S. gold reserves, 8,134.7 tons. That's 57% of global central bank gold reserves. The U.S. alone at 57% has been declining yearly. In 2005 it was 57%, down from over 80. It used to be over 90%. Germany follows closely behind, with 3,443 tons. That's 43% of global central bank gold reserves. France has 3,024 tons. Hey, how did France and Germany get to 3,000? The US only has 8,000. Hey, you guessed it. Back when they sent warships to buy, it was $35 an ounce. They literally bought over 1,000, 2,000 tons a day. Then the US reneged, because if they kept buying like that, the US would have nothing left to bargain with. Damn, at $35, they decoupled. Couldn't let them buy at $35 an ounce anymore. Guess how much it rose after decoupling from 35? I mean, after decoupling, it shot up to what? Not 350. Not 350. No, not 500 either. 800. Yesterday it was 35. The US reneged. And boom, in one bull market it zoomed to 800. This was the seismic shift after gold decoupling. Meaning if China and the US really clash, it'll happen again. This was the top secret plan in our State Council report. Now they're moving in that direction. They've unveiled it. They're heading down that path. Now gold is over $2,000 an ounce. Executing this report would be like the jump from 35 to 800. Think about what that means. Does it mean the dollar devalues? A rapid surge in gold prices. From 2,000 to 300,000 an ounce. Wouldn't that make the dollar worthless paper? Wouldn't that shatter the dollar's credibility? Your yuan against the dollar. Might be 100 or 20 to 1 now. But if my yuan is pegged to gold later, I've got gold locked down. Damn, a 1-to-1 peg with gold, 100 yuan an ounce. I'd dare to set it like that. I'd screw you over completely. Your dollar at 200,000. Okay, that's a bit exaggerated. Not necessarily 100 yuan, but damn close, roughly, similar to the dollar, right? So, this is called feigning action in the East, while attacking in the West.